Hey guys, this is going to be a shorter video going over the new update for the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. In front of me, I have two devices. One of them is on the retail firmware as of today, and the other is a release candidate build of the update that's about to drop. So the first thing that I want to go over is the change that went into the main menu strip. If we look at the retail build, you'll see that there's an annoying animation that plays when you back out to the system menu. It's a bit different if you're at the beginning of the list. So for example, if I go all the way over to the left and go into Game Boy, the animation isn't that bad. But if we go all the way to the end, the animation is too much. If we look at the new menu, we can go into a system and then back out without that annoying animation. This is one of the first changes that you'll notice to the responsiveness of the launcher. Let's continue with some more of the UI changes. If we look at the retail UI, you can see that there are not many options. People kept asking for a theme option, and some other people wanted a list mode. So with that in mind, if we look over to the new UI, there is a lot more going on. The first new change is that we have a search feature. Clicking on the find icon will open up this dialog box, and we're able to search by the game name or file name. So for example, if I want to find Pokemon, I can type in Poke and then click OK, and it will filter the entire list so only Pokemon games are shown. After you search for the game that you want to play, launching into it is just as easy as it is on retail right now. Getting back to the launcher is also simple, so this whole thing is very convenient. You'll also see that we have a button that says View. If we press that button one time, you'll see an A through Z list on the right side of your screen. Now if you want to find something, all you have to do is swipe your finger through this list and it will show you all of the games with that letter. There's one thing that I saw while testing this out that I want to point out in this video. You can see right now we're on M. We have the Harvest Moon games and 3 Zelda ones. The last game starts with an M, so this is not as good as it could be. Really what you'd want to see is your first box in the left corner would start with the letter that you've selected instead of how it is right now. This is probably something that's going to improve in the update that comes after this one. Either way, it is much easier to get around big ROM lists than it was in the past. For the final showcase, we need to press the View button one more time. If we press the View button again, you'll see that we are now in a list mode, and this is something that a lot of people were asking about for a long time. I did a quick mock-up of this shortly after the last update dropped, and the engineers started working on it right away. After a bunch of test versions, this is where we are at this point. So you have your box art here on the right side, and you have your list here on the left. You also have a counter for the amount of games that you have in this system listed on the bottom. In this example, I have 74 GBC games added to my device. One of the best changes with this update is we have the proper amount of space for box arts, so they're not going to be cropped. You'll also notice that not all of the box art files are exactly the same, so this is going to be the preferred option for some people over the normal grid view. Now you can just use this mode, and it will remember that you picked this view mode. And if you end up liking this mode, you never need to go back to the other one if you don't want to. And I will point out that the system switch hotkey of R2 and L2 still carries over to this mode, so you can easily shift between the systems that you've added. You'll also notice that these box arts are in the correct aspect ratio, and they are not squished like they are in the grid view. And that's going to be it for this overview of the new OTA update for the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. I think there is still room for a bunch of quality of life improvements going forward, but this is a big improvement over the current retail release that we have. I think one of the next features that we will see added to the device is a favorite option and maybe a shuffle option, but that really depends on what people want. Retroid is supposed to shift over to a release model that favors doing small quality of life improvements more often instead of postponing big updates for months like they did with the last OTA. So if you guys do have any suggestions, they do read your comments on YouTube, Discord, and Reddit. A lot of people ask for this list mode, which is why it exists here, so if there's something that you want to see on the device and you are a customer, there's a good chance that the company will implement it. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave those down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Happy gaming, everyone. Talkie out.